Hello, this is Smartho Day, and welcome to my lessons, SD Lessons. Today, let me deal with another interesting story, an extract of Charles Dickens from The Great Expectation. The name of the extract, the title has been given as The Pip and the Convict. So, you can see the picture. This is Pip, a small child. You can see a church here. It's a churchyard. But let me tell you that this place is very close to London. It's a village, but it's very close to London. And name of this small boy is Philip Pirrip. In shortened, abbreviated form, he has been called as Pip. So Philip Pirrip to Pip. The sad part of this is of the story is Pip lost his parents and he is an orphan. However, Pip has a older sister who is married to Joe Gargery and who took care of Pip and brought him up. And Pip is under the care of Mr. Joe Gargery and the sister Mrs. Joe Gargery. Now, Joe Gargery is a blacksmith. Joe Gargery is a tall man, strong man, Hercules in strength. But then, he has been described by the author as a mild, very honest, good natured, sweet tempered, easygoing, dear fellow, tender hearted, all good things are said about him. All lovely. One thing I disagree with the author, he says he is foolish. That means all good things, he is humble, he is nice with everyone. Doesn't mean that he is foolish, but he may be purposely pretends foolish to others. Being good is not foolishness, I feel. But then in the extract it has been mentioned that he is foolish. Anyway, we take that. And then he has a forge. That is a small factory like shop where a blacksmith manufactures all kind of things with metals, makes knife, makes hammer and all that. And the forge is in such a place that it is wide open to marshes. Marshes is a place where plants grow in watery area. Means you will find tall grasses, you find bushes, and you find water also. That's marsh. So in marshy area, his forge is there. It looks open out across wide marshes, and there a river is also a river that flowed through them. So this is what we see in the picture. And the picture, of course, I did not show that the marshes and the what do you call, the river is not shown. Only the church is there. So now here, church here is there. Now here you see, in contrast to this man who is very strong and bold and fantastic, good natured and all good things said about him. In contrast, Mrs. Joe, tall, bony, black haired, red skin, and nagging all the time, scolding both the husband and the brother, young brother. So both of them scared of her. Both of them scared of her because the husband was also, although very tall, strong, but very nice, humble, very nice, and scared of the wife. So here, this nature of the Mr. Joe Gargery made him something like a common partner, means something like that Pip and Joe behave like friends. And whenever Mrs. Joe Gargery used to be annoyed, cross-grained, cross-grained one, or annoyed, in bad mood, then Mr. Joe Gargery used to keep his fingers crossed, and seeing that, people used to understand that that day he has to take care of himself and not come close or talk to the sister, be close. Anyway, that is one thing. Now that means Joe Gargery took care of Pip, good friend, and there was another small girl whose name is given Biddy, of the same age of Pip, used to like him and take care of his lessons, help help out his at school with his lessons. So Biddy was a nice girl and a friend of Pip. But despite that, despite Joe and Biddy, Pip often used to feel very sad because he was an orphan child. And this emotion at times used to come out, especially on times you can't say when, but then it was one day before the Christmas, and that day he was feeling very bad and he was really feeling very low and bad. And he went to the churchyard and he was crying, more miserable than normal days. And he was crying there. All of a sudden, something happened. Let me change the picture and show you the picture first, and then talk about it. Now, look at this pig closely. Very fearful looking man, isn't it? So let's see what is the connection of this picture with Pip. Remember, Pip was crying. It was 24th of December. He was feeling very lonely. He was missing his parents. He was feeling more wretched and miserable than usual. And he was crying. At that point of time, there was a very fearful voice, and it tells and stops Pips not to move. Otherwise, he says, keep still, you little imp, or I will cut your throat. Imagine, Pip got startled, scared. He was crying. And imagine how bad he must be, how fearful it was for him if all of a sudden you hear a voice like that. He was very scared. Then, with that, this man was a convict. A convict, a prisoner, okay, a criminal. He's a convict, a criminal. Look at him. With this, he caught hold of him and he set Pip on a tombstone and tilted him that he found the steeple of the church looking upside down. That much he tilted him and told and scared him. Look at his dress, all shabby, with a dirty handkerchief tied there. Hair you see all dirty, here all shabby grey clothes, wet clothes, caked with mud you see, all layered with mud, he was all layered with mud. And he was shivering, this man was shivering, and his shoes I could not show. He had shoes, were torn, torn shoes, ragged, with a dirty handkerchief. You can see, of course, here the dirty handkerchief, here the dirty handkerchief tied to his forehead. Now he limped because that means he was injured. This man was injured. Now this man growled at little Pip, poor thing. He growled at him and said that if he says in the Pip says that to spare him, pleaded the captor, begged the captor to leave him. Then he said two conditions. First he asked his name and where he lives, and when he said that, he said he has to bring, number one, a file, because he knows that his relative works in a forge. So he asked for a file, and then he asked for some food. So two things: by dawn he is to bring it, otherwise he will catch him, cut his throat, take out his heart, and eat it. Oh my God, what dangerous thing! What scary to just imagine of the poor little Pip, what he must be going through. It was dangerous for him. He was going through terrible time. I just wonder how could he means absorb all that. Then What happened? The moment he was left, he went home. He escaped. And then he was feeling very, very miserable. Next day, you imagine, it was Christmas Day. And in the evening, also, he could not enjoy. He thought if he cannot manage the food from the pantry, it will be terrible. So, what he did, his own food, supper, his own food, he kept the bread, he kept his cheese, he did not eat that, and he slipped down his trouser. Now, I am wondering one thing, how someone can slip down the bread and butter down the trouser. That means you have to imagine of something like the pajama type of trouser, and the lower part has to be like a bottle neck, like a bottle. So different design, no, not the modern day type of trouser. Then only it is possible. So anyway, author has mentioned, so we have to take it that he slipped down his bread and butter, and when he did that, not long before that, there was some great gun began to boom, 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 some noise far away. People wanted to know from Joe Gargary, who was like a friend to him, that what it was. The blacksmith said that there, across the marshes near the river, in the river, there are some big ships, hulks of ships or big ships. In that, convicts are kept, and they're kept as prisoners. The convicts are kept as prisoners, and the gunshots are signal that the some of the prisoners might have escaped. So that is the signal. Pip now understood that someone to whom he has promised to help, the person whom he met, that fearful looking person, means this person actually is a criminal and maybe a murderer, perhaps maybe a murderer. And Pip was a good boy. He never did anything wrong. So he hated to steal the food, and he did not like it. So whole night he couldn't sleep. Moreover, this man he now knows is a criminal, is a murderer. Anyway, at dawn he got up, he slipped downstairs, he got a file from the forge, unlocked the pantry, means the storeroom where food is kept, unlocked the pantry, took some bread and cheese and a meat pie, and ran through the foggy, means misty, foggy morning to the masses. Now, what happened then? Wait, children. What happened then? If everything I tell you in one go, then you will not be able to remember. So, what I do in part 2, I will give you the following day. So, till then, you wait, hold on for the time being. Bye bye, children.